Warning, this herbal boner cocktail gave me a 4-hour erection. Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm going to tell you how a strange herbal brew gave me the strongest, most pleasurable erections I've ever had. And my wife, the best sex of her life, night after night. Before I discovered this boner cocktail, which you can make from a few simple ingredients found at your local grocery store for pennies on the dollar, my erectile dysfunction almost ruined my life. After giving her months of soft, uncooperative erections, my wife was on the verge of leaving me. I tried all the prescription drugs and nothing worked for me. Not to mention, they had some terrible side effects. Now, the story I'm going to tell you is not only painful and humiliating, it might even seem a bit crazy. The reason why I'm putting myself out there is because my unfortunate story helped me discover the real root cause of ED, which goes against everything you've ever heard or seen online. This boner brew I discovered not only saved my marriage, but literally turned me into a sexual marathon man that can go for hours on end, and my wife could not be happier. So if you want to know what to do to fix your lagging member today and restore your love life, your reputation, and your hope for a rock-solid sex life, trust me, you want to pay close attention to every word I have to say in this short video. Now, if you happen to come across this website by accident, then you should consider yourself pretty lucky. This video accidentally propelled me into an unwanted spotlight thanks to the method that I've pioneered to save my own sex life. I'm getting too many requests for TV interviews, podcasts, and to be honest, I just don't want to become known as the boner guy. My name is Josh Harding, and I'm a history professor at a local community college in a small town in western Michigan, where I've taught for the past 24 years. At the age of 58 with 2 grown kids and an archaeology fetish that takes up a lot of my time, I have no desire for fame. I started this website because I wanted to help guys who were facing the same problem that I was, watching their members shrink, their sex life vanish, and their wives and girlfriends roll out of bed with frustration written all over their faces. Guys who are just looking for a natural solution to erectile dysfunction, or ED. Even occasional ED that doesn't involve dangerous, expensive, and physically addictive drugs like Viagra, Cialis, or painful testosterone shots. I spent years researching every medical and alternative treatment for ED you can think of, and I was almost ready to toss in the towel when the most bizarre vacation I ever took led me on my own Indiana Jones-like adventure and the discovery of this crazy Peruvian boner brew that changed my life and the lives of thousands of men forever. Have a look. This 3,000-year-old hardening cocktail I'll share with you today is so potent, it led to the creation of hundreds of these pieces of pottery that were crafted to honor the elders from this one tribe in Peru. These white-haired Peruvian men were praised for their enlarged and fully functioning members, and to this very day, the simple herbs they used for thousands of years are still working their magic on these lucky locals. I know. I became one of them. I'll tell you that story in a moment, and when I do, everything will finally click, and you'll get why drugs are not the answer you're looking for. You should know, I do not sell herbs, potions, drugs, or supplements of any kind. I am just going to tell you how to make this boner brew for yourself for about 30 freaking cents. No kidding. So do yourself and your manhood a favor and watch this right now while I still have it online. You should first be warned that what I'll be sharing with you today goes against almost everything you've ever heard about ED. Now, you may be thinking, like I was, that ED is a mental thing or an age-related problem, or maybe that you don't even have ED because you only occasionally lose your erections. So let me know if any of this sounds familiar. Perhaps you suffer from soft or incomplete erections. You know the kind. Those halfway there woodies that create many awkward cram it in any way you can moments and that leave you humiliated as you watch the disappointment wash over your lover's face. Or maybe you're suffering from temporary erections that wither away within minutes of engaging in sex. Those are worse than not getting it up at all. It's like giving your lover a present and then taking it away before she can open the box. Believe me, women remember those disappointments longer than you know. Then there's what I call sensationless sex. That's when you can get it up for a short while, yet the sensation and pleasure you feel is a fraction of what it used to feel like. Sensitivity will become very important to you during this video, so make special note because you may not even realize that your penile sensation has all but vanished. Remember back when you were a teenager? There you were, sitting in math class or history class, and the mere thought of seeing that cute blonde in her cheerleader outfit made you sprout wood, usually right before your teacher asked you to come to the front of the room and solve some equation or present your homework. It's embarrassing, right? I remember having to hide more than one untimely erection. And if you're honest with yourself, you long for those days. And I bet you could barely keep yourself from releasing too quickly when you did have sex. All of this is due to your members' sensitive nerves being on red alert. Keep watching as I'm going to reveal to you how you can get that sensitivity back. Now, something tells me that you don't wake up every day with that infamous morning wood like you used to either. Does any of this sound familiar to you? As you'll soon see, these are early warning signs. And even if any of these terrifying events have only happened to you just a few times, the reality is very clear. You are caught in the throes of early or mid-stage erectile dysfunction. This condition often leads to full-blown ED, leaving you in a permanent and irreversible state of what's called penile tissue decay, or PTD. In fact, according to urologist Dr. Peter Pirito, unless you handle your ED right now, you can lose up to 1 inch off your member every year. You could be forced to resort to painful, risky surgeries where they slice open your penis from the base to the head, peel the head flap open, scrape out the delicate, sensitive, spongy erectile tissue, and replace it all with a balloon. This balloon is manually inflated by vigorously and repeatedly squeezing a third testicle sewn into your scrotum, sending you into an early sexual grave. I know, scary stuff. If this continues, the worst thing that can happen to a man will happen to you. You will stop wanting to have sex. Even now, your drive to have sex is probably on its way downhill, and eventually you'll lose all of your sexual motivation. When that happens, your brain signals your body that it's time to die. Literally. Your body will start burning muscle tissue, storing more fat, losing more hair, and the reason is simple. Sex is the signal to your brain that you are a hunter, a warrior, a true man. When you no longer want sex, your body is programmed to shut all of your vital systems down. Now, if that was all your ED was doing to you, that would be a really good reason to panic. However, throughout my years of digging into this, I found out that the problem is a lot worse than you think. In fact, it isn't just a male problem. Women suffer from ED as well. Not in the physical way that we do, mind you, but in the emotional and marital sense. Here's what I mean. In a recent survey, 10,245 women were asked a simple question. If your husband or lover cannot perform in bed, would you cheat on him? 4 out of 5 women said yes. Yes, your wife or girlfriend will likely cheat on you unless you fix your flaccid erections. And if that wasn't bad enough, 1 out of those 5 women said they would leave their marriage if their husband could not sexually satisfy them. My wife, Karen, almost left me. So believe me, I know this to be true, and Karen is one of the most loyal women I've ever known. Today, we have a fantastic marriage and an equally incredible sex life, but that wasn't always the case. So if you think you can coast along and just assume that your woman will stand by your side, think again. Women feel shame and embarrassment when their lovers can't keep an erection, and they blame themselves. No matter what they may be telling you or how much you tell them it's not their fault, they blame themselves. Think about it. If a woman said she wanted to have sex with you, said she loved you, said she thought you were attractive and desirable, and then her body betrayed her by literally shutting down sexually, what would you believe? Now, what if you're single? Well, then I bet you're terrified of that first sexual encounter with the next girl that you're going to meet that's bound to happen sometime very soon. The anxiety you must feel over knowing there is a massive chance that your member will just sag in her hands or go totally limp and shrink after only a few minutes of sexual contact is enough to overwhelm the strongest guy in the world. Over 72% of single men over the age of 45 report a high degree of sexual anxiety when it comes to their first time with a new partner. And when you can't get it up, it leads to humiliation, rejection by your partner, and greater social isolation. Without going into the bedroom knowing you can perform on command, you are setting yourself up for a vicious cycle of disappointment and embarrassment, and it doesn't have to happen. Starting today, you can return to the time when a strong breeze would give you a rise in your genes, when you could perform at a moment's notice, often going for hours and multiple times in a row. I believe that's the right of every man at any age. So let's address the problem head on before things get out of hand. During my years of research into the real cause of ED and natural ways to reverse it, I discovered 3 really common myths that most men believe when it comes to getting and keeping firm erections. I'm going to cover them really quickly so we can move on to my rather unusual solution that is working for thousands of men as we speak. First, I want to save you months and perhaps even years of frustration as well. And you know what? A hell of a lot of money too by exposing these myths and lies right now. The first myth is one that I heard all my life, and you've probably heard as well. It's all in your head. Well, guess what? It's all in your penis. That myth got started because men reported feeling anxious during sex, and later on, the cart got put before the horse. Anxiety became the reason for soft or non-existent erections. In reality, poor erections are the reason for the anxiety. Just think about it. When you were a teenager, did you feel anxious before sex? If you're anything like I was, you certainly did, yet you got hard enough to drive a nail through a 4x4, didn't you? It's not in your head, at least not the head on your shoulders. You have a physical problem, and we're going to solve that problem shortly. The second myth is a rather costly one that can break you financially as well as ruin your health. Little blue pills are the answer. No, they're not. In fact, they're part of the problem. While you could spend hundreds, even thousands of dollars on drugs like Viagra or Cialis to work temporarily to give you an erection, they do nothing whatsoever to address the cause of ED. Worse, these drugs can actually destroy your health. Blurred vision, increased risk of stroke, blindness. My doctor even warned me that I could be at risk for early heart disease, diabetes, and loss of penile sensitivity. Now, I have a solution that works just as well without a single side effect and that addresses the cause of ED directly. If only more men knew how dangerous these drugs really were. Okay, here's the third really big fat lie, a myth that's become a billion-dollar industry over the past decade. Testosterone injections will fix your problem. At first, this seems like common sense. After all, testosterone is the male sex hormone, and it does decline with age. However, what Big Pharma is not telling you is that testosterone injections do not fix the problem of ED. These injections raise your libido, but do nothing to increase blood flow to your penis. In fact, synthetic testosterone reduces blood flow by creating thicker blood. The thicker your blood, the worse your circulation becomes. And circulation is absolutely the key to rock-solid erections on demand, so avoid anything that impairs it. There are some natural alternatives that work that do not thicken the blood, and I will tell you more about that in just a second. Blood flow is one answer, but it's not the only answer. And there's actually something worse that's happening to your penis, something hardly anyone ever talks about. Something at the very root of every case of ED. Your penis has lost its sensitivity. You see, your erection is triggered by the nerves at the tip that run up and down the shaft. Thanks in part to aggressive masturbation, like using too tight of a grip, not using proper lubrication, masturbating too frequently, or prolonged setting, you start losing sensitivity in your penis at an alarming rate. Once these nerves start to die off, every time you masturbate or have sex, the skin on your member starts to thicken. This creates the ideal environment for ED to set in. This fact cannot be overstated. The loss of penile sensitivity is the #1 cause of erectile dysfunction.